School Board meeting for the Rutherford County School System. We'll be opening the meeting with a brief moment of silence or prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag. No one is required to participate or be present for any of these, and being in this portion of the meeting is completely voluntary. Tonight's prayer and pledge will be handled by Ms. Frances Rosales.
Please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you, God, for allowing us to have one more day here with you. God, I just pray as each and every single one of us is here, I pray that you watch over us, protect us, God. Whatever needs that we may have, I pray that you will answer it accordingly. I pray, God, that you give us wisdom and discernment as we're getting ready to make decisions on behalf of so many people, Lord God, and that we continue to focus and be reminded of what this is for. This is to not only just to glorify you, God, but also to help the students that are making up our wonderful school system. Thank you for all that you're doing for us, and in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up, we have the approval of the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Vaughn.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Rosales. If there's no objection, everyone who's in the affirmative, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Next, we move on to the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. There is no public comment this evening. And in our principal recognition, we have Mr. Brown and Dr. Turnbow.
So again, just as we did the other night, Mr. Evans will introduce both. I'll say a couple comments, but we did have 5 brand new principals. But again, our brand new principals have quite a bit of experience compared to other brand new principals.
So first up tonight is, of course, Mr. Brown with Eagleville School. He has been with Eagleville now nearly 20 years as an educator and spent much of that time in a leadership role. He originally was hired by former Principal Rhonda Holton, and for the past 11 years, he has served as an assistant principal of the school with former principals Bill Tollett and Tim Pettigone. And then he started his education career in 2003 at Laverne High School. Of course, he's now the head principal at Eagleville. And I think he even has like a big eagle tattoo on his chest. Do you want to show that?
Wow.
Pretty close to it though, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, but Mr. Brown is one very rarely, so the director of schools has the ability to appoint, and so very rarely do I appoint people, but it was very evident that Mr. Brown was the right leader for Eagleville after Mr. Pettigone moved over to our central office, and so I'm extremely proud of the work he's already doing and just to continue the legacies that are at Eagleville. We also have a power couple because his wife is our principal at John Coleman Elementary School, and my favorite portion so far is I was about to move a teaching position in the one school that if I moved it from, it would have been from John Coleman to Eagleville, and instead, so we're looking at alternative options at this moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a different dynamic we're not used to working through. So.
Okay. And then Dr. Megan Turnbow, she was most recently was the coordinator of ESL position here at the central office, which she held that position for 3 years, and during that time, she was also a semifinalist at the state level for Supervisor of the Year. So she did incredible things while in that department. She was 4 years as an AP at Riverdale and 1 at Rocky Fork Middle, and also a year as an instructional coach there. She is starting her 19th year in education, and so she is now the proud principal at Rockville.
Yep. And of course, we are proud of Megan, Dr. Turnbow, but it is definitely, as we mentioned then, a loss to our central office team, but the students that you'll get to serve at a closer basis is absolutely the benefit. But there have been multiple times we have Ms. Toombs here who's doing an amazing job, but we've built so much respect and trust between those two. Has really been seamless transition as well, but credit to both of them.
Thank you. Next, we move on to human resources.
So first, we have Archie's Promise. That's the Tennessee nonprofit that provides free hygiene and personal care items to our students through hygiene vending machines, and this is just requesting approval of our MOU.
I can entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Tidwell. Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we move to board items.
Next, we have 4 board items. So the first is the Dismukes property. You'll see the estimated costs for the work are below. Traffic study estimated $25,000, surveying $20,000, wetlands $15,000, appraisal $6,000, geotechnical $40,000, and phase 1 development of $5,000. That would come from Fund 189 at this time, from leftover from other high school projects.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Thank you, Ms. Rosales.
Ms.
Yes.
Maxwell.
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
Jeff, could you come up and kind of explain some of the stuff that you learned today? So I asked Jeff to reach out to the mayor's office to figure out a few things, because obviously a lot of promises were made, and then we wanted to see if how much of that was realistic. And Jeff has gathered some of that information. Do you mind sharing that with the board?
I did talk to the city in regards to the proposal that had been discussed at the work session on Tuesday. I talked to several people at the city to address some of the questions. One of the questions that if sewer was extended to the Dismukes property, how would it get to the Dismukes property? It would not cross I-24. So there's no plans to have the sewer cross I-24. It would come from the west side if it was to be served. And the city does believe, Water Sewer Department does believe they have, if the decision was made to do it, they do have a capability of doing that. If there would have to be lines to be improved and things like that. But the sewer would come from the west side, not from across I-24. So you would not have to bore I-24 or come across a bridge across I-24 to bring sewer to the site. Of course, sewer is important to the site because, if there ends up being an interchange on that property that could eat up anywhere from 6 to 12 to 20 acres, we've heard, of the property, which leaves you basically 65 acres to work with. If you have sewer, you don't have to worry about reserve soils for a step system. If you don't have sewer, you would have to have some portion of this property reserved for a step system. So you would have a septic service there on the property. So the advantage of having sewer is you can use more of the property. So there's something to be gained from that. I also spoke and checked on the situation with the 2 subdivisions that have step systems currently, which are currently owned by CUD. And if arranged, other things have to get worked out, but it is feasible for those systems to be connected to sewer and for that property possibly to be conveyed to the Board of Education if some deal gets worked out for all this. So that is, so contingent on deal getting worked out with the city and the school board and the county with respect to all this, those 2 areas that would afford the school board basically an additional 35 acres that it could possibly use for ball fields at that location. So I did speak with the mayor as well and city staff, and this would be subject to city council approval, and a number of other approvals would still have to be done, but the staff and the mayor would still be supportive of the idea of if the property was acquired and the city's willing to acquire it and then convey back and put a restricted covenant on the property by which it can only be used for a school. So that's one route to go with this. I'm not sure if that would go over with Mr. Dismukes very well, because Mr. Dismukes does not want to deal with the city. He's made that very clear, and he wants his property to be used for a school. He's the owner of the property is very opposed to this property being developed and used for an interchange. But if interchange is coming to the property, the city would be willing to acquire. The discussions have been they'd be willing to acquire the property. They would keep the portion that would be needed for the interchange and place a restrictive covenant on the remainder to be conveyed to the Board of Education of the county when the time comes for a school to be built on the property, and they would put a restrictive covenant on the property saying it could only be used for school purposes. if that happened, the proposal has been that the county or school system would pay the city what it paid for the property plus whatever carrying cost the city would have. So we basically would get the property the same cost the city got it paid for it, plus whatever carrying costs the city has for the property. Because it could be a number of years. I don't know how soon it would be on it. But so I think and the city would be willing to extend sewer to the site if this deal got worked out. So I think that basic idea is still there and does seem feasible if we want to go that route with it. The other possible route is if the school system wants to go ahead and acquire the property itself and buy the whole tract as we have it under contract and work out a deal with the city after the fact for the interchange. That's another route we could go with it as well. So because right now it's under contract for the school board to buy all the property. If we bought all the property, the portion that could be needed for an interchange, the schools, if it was agreeable to the Board of Education to do it, we could convey that back to the city or the state for the use for the interchange. And there could be some purchase arrangement between the city and the county made where the city pays the county for whatever it's agreed to buy the property for. So that's another option if the Board of Education wants to go ahead and acquire the whole tract. I was just coincidentally, I guess, we talked about the choice lane some Tuesday. The contractor for the winning, I guess, bidder for the choice lane project was just selected yesterday. So that just happened yesterday. So now there is a company in place that's been selected to do the choice lane project. So that a lot of the questions about the interchanges have been held up because the choice lane contractor had not been selected. That's happened now. So it does seem like the state is prepared to move forward with some interchange decisions quicker now than it had previously because you've got a party involved who has to make decisions about the choice lane project. So any decisions with respect to any prospective interchanges would involve this new the new developer, I guess I say, who's been selected for this project. This developer, basically, as you may know, is basically they're basically selected to build new lanes along I-24. They will then charge tolls for people to run cars on these lines, and that's how they pay, the company pays for the lanes, and they charge tolls to people who choose to drive in these lanes, which would be restricted access and allow people to drive faster up and down the interstate without traffic is the idea about it. And the company puts the money in and then pays the money back to the state, and it's basically a 50-year deal, so it's a long-term deal. So, but with respect to the interchange question, that party has been selected now, so there's a company in place from who you can make decisions with respect to interchanges. So I don't know, I can't give you a date or whether an interchange would be coming. I know it's high in the city's priority list to have that area listed as an interchange. It has been for a long time. There are a lot of streets and road improvements tied, all going to that Cherry Lane intersection, and they're still looking to do a full interchange is what I'm told. When that will happen, I can't give you a date. We do have a new governor coming into office here, and some of these projects that had not really made progress may make more progress when you have a change in the governor position. So I think the bottom line of it is, I think with respect to Dismuke's property, I do think we need to get the testing done because you don't really know how the property tests out for sure until you do that. So that's a fundamental thing that needs to be done. So that needs to be done so we can move ahead with the project. And I think you should assume that there may be an interchange on the property and just make your decision whether you want to move forward with a purchase of the property based on there being an interchange on it or not. And whether it's the remaining acreage, which is about 65, would be sufficient for a high school site. And there sounds like it's a good prospect. You may pick up the additional 35 for maybe ball fields across the street. So that's the update I have for the board with respect to that situation. So the board, I think the immediate issue, of course, is whether you want to move forward with the testing of the property, and that's the question that's before the board tonight.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. So I've been thinking through this, trying to figure out how to make this work, if it was a legit deal or not, and it seems like there's a lot of foundation here. So my thought is I would be willing personally, I'm speaking only for myself, I'd be willing to move forward with the traffic study and the item before us tonight. If we had board support, if we get some kind of verbal, we don't got to make a motion or anything tonight, but just verbal, if we had some kind of board support showing that moving forward, we would work with the city on this. We see the pieces falling into place for this interchange. I don't see the downside. Mr. Dismukes wants a school on the property. We're gonna make sure the school gets on that property. That's gonna happen. We're gonna cut, we know we're gonna lose a portion of the top half of this property. That's gonna happen through this interchange. What the exact definition, if it's 12 acres or 20 acres or whatever, we can give the city 20 of it. That's cost savings to us. Then we are going to get in that same agreement, we're gonna get the 35 acres across the street. So our per price acre is going down. We're getting more acreage. We're getting sewer to the schools. I don't see the downside. I just don't. The downside is not moving forward with this deal. Now, what we discussed today, or I discussed with Jeff a little bit, and I'd also discussed with Phil Dodd, is moving forward with the current deal and having Jeff Reed orchestrate something with the city to get these other pieces worked out. So therefore, we're still in control of what's happening. The price doesn't jump up, as Mr. Vaught has suggested, and us going back to the city and letting them have control of this project. We still keep control of it, but yet we end up in a much better fiscal position, more acreage, and sewer, knowing that if we decide not to do this, that they're likely still going to take what they want, and then we don't get the other add-ons. So that's my pitch to the board tonight. I'd love to hear some conversation around that to kind of see where everybody else is at. What y'all's thoughts? Do y'all think this is there other questions? As far as some of the talking points we talked about the other night, Dismukes wants a school in this. Yeah, that's in here. That's going to happen. The acreage that we need, at one point, I thought we needed 90 acres for a high school, and we're looking at 85. Well, some of that is probably due to the layout, whether we have a drip system or something like that. We're going to have sewer if we work with the city. So that saves some acreage right there. So there's a lot of potential for this. We're going to get a school on the bed. Mr. Dismukes is satisfied. The county saved money, got more acreage. Price per acreage went down, and the city's getting their portion. So I don't see the negative to this. And if we had board support moving forward with this, that we can have the city look at this, get some paperwork done, then you have my support tonight for moving forward with this testing.
Any other comments? Mr. Vaughn?
I'll tell you what I see the downside of what you're talking about, Caleb. You know, it sounds good. It's sort of like putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. And the thing about it is, Mr. Dismukes doesn't want the city on his property. In fact, he ran them off when they came out there and tried to do some testing. I don't trust the city, to be honest with you. I mean, we made an agreement with Mr. Dismukes. The city tried to come in behind us and tried to buy out, offered him more money, sort of undercut what we tried to do. Now that, to me, is not a good characteristics of somebody you want to do business with. I don't, anyway. So maybe the rest of the board does, but I don't trust them as far as I could throw them. And like I said, I made the motion, we're going to move ahead with this. Regardless of what the city wants to do, I could care less. We just need, I'm going to move ahead and do what's best for the Rutherford County schools and what's best for our students. And if we don't buy this property out there, we're going to be in dire straits because there's not anything else out there. And, you know, if we go ahead and buy this property, Mr. Dismukes, then we can just let the chips fall where they may. But my motion stands as is to approve the funding for this true diligence testing and approve funding for to buy the property.
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
I just want to clarify, we're still in contract to move forward to buy this property. The school board is still in control. We are not offering this over to the city, and the city is going to come take when it comes time to take. What I'm saying is, if we act appropriately, we get more out of this particular deal than what we would if we don't.
Yes, Ms. Darby.
I think there's a lot to consider with this. I think that, I think everybody's probably in agreement and on board with moving forward with the testing. We're under contract to purchase the property, so the testing has to get done regardless. I think what Mr. Tidwell has brought forth is some out-of-the-box thinking, possible good idea, and I think with Mr. Reed's help, it's something that can be talked about, negotiated, looked into in a legal way so that you're not concerned with trust issues that some may have. I think I would be interested. I'm still hung up on not knowing for certain whether or not the property is going to be used for an interstate exchange. If it is, I'm still very interested to see what that potentially looks like and how close the school is going to be to that kind of thing and all of those things as far as this property is concerned. It's been a concern of mine since the property was first brought up. So I don't have an issue with what you've brought forth. I think it's possible to move forward with this testing and also allow Mr. Reed to continue conversation in regards to what you've brought up, Mr. Tidwell. Because I would also just like more information, and maybe we'll get some more of that now that the choice lanes have been approved. Maybe we'll get a better idea of how serious they are about putting an interstate exchange there, because it's no disrespect to Mr. Dismukes, but if they're going to put one there, if there is benefit to us making things easier on the city, because we're going to get some things in turn for our students in our community, I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. But those are all things that I would like to see more actual, real data on before finalizing things, so.
Anybody else?
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Ms.
I just have a question, Jeff. So Mr. Dismuke has said that he wanted a school property on his land. So if he's going to sell it to anyone, it's going to be the school, and he doesn't, he's adamant about not putting an interchange or even having the city do anything with his land to put anything that the city is wanting. So hypothetically, let's say that there was not a school on the table, that it was going to offer him the possibility of buying it, and it's just the city, and he refused to sell it to them. What will happen at that point with Mr. Dismukes if he adamantly refuses to sell it to the city? How will the city be able to acquire it?
The city
If
or
he says
state,
no.
the city or state would have to condemn it. So if they cannot negotiate a deal to acquire it, they would have to acquire it by condemnation.
So the city will have to get the state to condemn the property?
The city or the state could condemn it.
The city or the state? So the city will still insert its power over eminent domain? Is that what will happen?
Correct.
That is very interesting.
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
Maybe the way we should look at this then is, after this vote goes through, I'm going to make a motion, see if there's a second out there to see if we can get Mr. Reed to go figure out what this negotiation would look like with the city. He brings us back something to look at to see what makes the most sense. The deal that is laying before us is very, very good. We're in the driver's seat, and again, everybody's getting what they want. Dismuke's getting the school on their property, county's getting a better deal per acre, and the city is going to get the portion that they are very likely to get either way. So why not, before that comes, roaring down the tracks, why not go ahead and get out in front of it? We're still going to be purchasing the property, so we're not losing control. I'm just saying, why don't we give ourselves a better deal?
Anybody else have any comments?
Just vote.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm asking this question. Are you wanting to put a motion? Are you wanting to do an amendment to this? I'm confused, Caleb, because you've talked around and around about all this stuff with the city. And I think Claire and I both said the other night, we're willing to work with the city. I think what you're talking about is very premature at this point in time. All this vote is about tonight is to get the testing done. If the testing comes back, we move forward with the purchase. If the testing doesn't come back, we're not buying it. It's that plain and simple. So I think all these conversations about this are premature at this point in time. And that's what I've said before. When the mayor reached out to me, when Phil Dodd reached out to me, I think, Claire, I'm not putting words in your mouth right now, but look, we're here to work and make the best deal for, the students of this county and move forward with this thing. I feel like the whole issue is getting clouded right now on what the city's wanting or what the state's going to do or the fast lanes we got to concentrate on what we've got. We got to keep our eye on the ball, and the ball is this. Jeff Dismukes came to us a year ago and said, listen, I'm going to make y'all one price if you'll build a school on it. If not, then I'm going to put it out on the open market to developers, to the city, whoever. And we need to take advantage of this and not keep pussyfooting around about it. That's just my 2 cents worth. So I would encourage to follow Butch's lead right here, and let's just vote on the testing and get it done and get it back as quick as we can.
I agree. I've said all along, I said we've got to move forward. We need to do the traffic study, the survey, the wetlands appraisal, the geotechnical. We have to do all of this. And we're going to end up working with the city, I have a feeling. My gut tells me that they probably are going to put an interchange there. But it could be what it looks like, how much we will be in charge of that. And we will be able to make the move that we need to make that's right for the taxpayers and for the students. But we've got to move forward today with this. But we will work with the city. We've always tried to work with them when it comes to these kind of things. So I feel that that we're right on just going ahead, as Mr. Vaught and Mr. Vaughn have said, and just go ahead and let's move forward tonight. And then down the road, when this comes out the way we want it to, hopefully, then we could have those discussions with the city.
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Mr. Pitbull.
Yeah, it's not premature because I wouldn't support this. Would this board buy land that they knew we were going to lose 20 acres of? Would y'all buy that? I don't think so. Well, everything's lining up for that to happen. That's what we're seeing. And so until, I got the floor, thank you. Until we know for sure, which we're not, it's been in the plans, these things take time. It's been in the city plans that we're hearing it from the city. It's going to happen. So my question is, why are we doing it that way? I will support the due diligence, but to say that it's premature, that's not an accurate statement, because if I knew this was going through and there wasn't the option for this city deal, which I think is a great deal, and it sounds like Ms. Maxwell has at least ventured to say she's being supportive working with the city on this, then in that regard, yeah, we got a better deal on the side of this. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking at the next step here. So that's what I'm making everybody aware of. This is obviously a very important issue, and I'm just saying, hey, let's look at this realistically. That's what we do as a board. If we judge what's good and what's not, I think there's a really, really good option here. And so we can move forward with this, but I wanted to be sure that we weren't moving forward with this under the guise of, well, yeah, we're going to move forward with it, but we're not going to work with the city for this better deal. That's my difference. And so seeing that there is some interest, then I would support it at this point.
Yes.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, Ms. Vaught. Mr. Vaught.
The only way I know how to say this is we have to keep focused on what we're responsible to do, and that is to build schools, equip schools, hire teachers, and get kids educated. And as a taxpayer sitting out here right now, and I don't vote in city elections, I wished I did, but I'm a county resident, but I'm a city taxpayer. The city's track record right now is not real good. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to probably piss off a lot of people, but this Cherry Lane corridor has been talked about for 25 years, I know. I did an estate settlement for the Walkup family 22 years ago, and they had an easement right through the middle of their farm. And we had to design the tracks and split the farm up to suit the city. And guess what? They have now abandoned that easement. They have moved the road a half a mile east. They're not even using that property right now. They've just now let the contract to build the interchange at 840 back through Cherry Lane. Caleb, in all honesty, they may get this built in mine and yours lifetime, but I'm not going to hold my breath. They've got a tract of land out on 99 or 96 that they bought several years ago. The mayor, if he brought this up to you, he brought it up to me. He wanted to swap property. And the city, or the county's already looked at that, if I'm not mistaken. Trey did due diligence on that, and half of it's wetlands. We can't use that. They've got property sitting on Medical Center Parkway that hadn't been developed yet. They've got the old Methodist Church building downtown that hadn't been developed yet. I could go on and on and on. The city has great vision, I guess, but they have not completed a lot of these projects they have talked about. When we have kids sitting in portable classrooms, we've got to do something. That's the long and the short of it. And I dare say we'll have kids in portable classrooms long before anything gets worked out with this thing on the interchange. As I've said earlier, I'm open-minded. I gave the city my word 3 months ago, sat down with Darren Gore and talked with him about this. And what Butch is talking about right there is disingenuous, because immediately after that meeting I had with them, when they brought all this stuff up, they went behind our back, your back, my back, and the taxpayers' back, and offered Mr. Dismukes $500 more an acre. Now, is that showing goodwill? And that's kind of what I'm a little short-fused about this. Butch knows that story. I'm giving the rest of you that story right now. When he says he doesn't trust them, that's the reason we need to stay in control of this. We're going to stay in control of it as long as I can vote for it, as long as there's 4 of us. If you want to join with us, join with us. If you don't, if you want to do something else, that's fine. But I think you're clouding the issue at this point in time. And we've all said the same thing. We've got to work with the city. We've got to work with the city on design and landscaping, especially if they put sewer to it. We all know that. We're not going to work with them, but I'm not going to hold my breath about this interchange getting built in 2 or 3 years. It's just, I don't see it happening, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yes, Mr. Vaughn.
You know, I wasn't elected on this, to be on this board, to work with the city of Murfreesboro. That wasn't part of the job description. I was elected to do what's best for Rutherford County Schools, and that's my whole focus. That's my only focus. It's not to work with the city, especially since they did us, you know, I just can't trust people that do things like that. And there's so many ifs. And I was raised that, you know, if a frog had, there's so many ifs, that if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump when he jumps. So that's me. But you know, and I think another thing too, we need to, I respect Mr. Dismukes. And, you know, the man is a quality, first-class, stand-up man. And I'm going to do all I can to honor his wishes. And y'all can vote however you want to, but I'm telling you, I'm voting to move ahead with this tonight.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. I know he made a motion. Did we have a second? No, for Butch.
I made a motion.
Yeah.
Me, I gave the second.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. It's been a little bit of time since then. Okay. So if we could, if everybody's ready to vote, we'll do a roll call. Yes, go ahead and read it, please.
The motion was made by Butch Vaughn and seconded by Francis Rosales to approve proceeding with due diligence testing on the Dismukes property and to approve funding for the same. All right. Mr. Vaughn? Yeah. Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mrs. Darby? Yes. Ms. Sharp? Yes. Mr. Tidwell?
Yes.
Mrs. Rosales?
Yes.
Mrs. Maxwell?
Yes.
All yes.
Well, thank you. Now we move on to the Ten Commandment plaques.
Mr. Reed, do you have anything to add to that? So you have this recommendation we talked about Tuesday night, so.
This motion, so we talked about this on Tuesday as well. This is a motion to approve the design for 10 Commandment plaques, and you have as an attachment to your agenda the proposed design. So this is a motion to just approve the design of this, I say plaque, I guess it could be a sign too, for the 10 Commandments.
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
The board had asked about some of the costs, so I did collect some costs on this. So if we did all 53 schools, 24-inch by 36-inch and full-color acrylic, that comes out to about $215 a piece. That was through the very idea. The total cost for that would be $11,395. If they added some metal standoffs, it would add about another $1,000. So you're looking at about $12,400. Of that, $7,000 has already been raised. So there is the financial portion of it. But I move to approve the design.
Ms. Maxwell?
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Yes,
I would
Mrs.
like to
Dawes.
make an amendment to the motion to say that this is approved in the event that funding is raised for all of the schools to get the design, because it's not going to be, we need to have consistency for every school to have it displayed and not pick one school over the other. So I make an amendment to this motion in the event that the funding is raised for all schools to get the plaque.
I'll second that.
Mr. Tidwell?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
I got a question, Mr. Tiller, you made. Somebody made the recommendation that in the elementary schools, that we could make a 10 Commandment presentation where the kids, it would be more attractive, because it's up to, what we're putting this in the schools for is for the kids to read it, not for people that come in the building, it's for the kids. And recommendation was made that, we maybe make a look at something that would be a little bit more appealing to the younger kids than this is. I don't know whether you'd be open to that, but it's a possibility.
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
Ms. Darby. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask if you would mind postponing this to the next meeting to give us time to maybe look into a different design for the elementary school.
That's what I was going to speak about. So a couple things on that. Obviously, we can always come back, and because we're trying to figure out the funding, right? So we figured out we need to start raising funds for this and what that's going to cost. We could still approve this, and then we could also later approve at the next meeting, we could approve a design if we find a better design for the elementary school, because this is not going to happen immediately. They're not printing these off tomorrow. If we approve it as is and we decide to make a change to a more kid-friendly version, which I was sent one by this, and I had gotten some opinions that it wouldn't be uniform. It'd be better to be uniform across all the schools. But we do have a more kid-friendly presentation that I can send to the board as well from this same group, so that y'all can make a decision come September. If y'all want to revise the motion to come back and say, all right, we want to use this for the elementary kids, and then we want to use this version for the middle and high school.
Ms. Sharp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Did you say you raised 7,000 already?
I personally did not.
Well,
There's
there's
7,000
Okay,
raised,
okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Vaughn.
You were talking about design. Did any of the art departments from any of the schools have any input? Where'd this design come from? Just curious.
This is a board item, so we have left students out of it. My only concern, I like getting our students involved, would be any potential litigation and student involvement. That would be my concern. And I would let Mr. Reed speak to that out of here.
Okay. Do we have a motion to maybe postpone this? Instead, not table it, but postpone it till the next meeting?
You want to postpone?
I simply seconded Frances's,
amendment.
yeah, her
My
amendment.
amendment was that this, get all the money for all the schools to get it.
Okay.
Basically, that's what it was.
Y'all would like to, yes, sorry.
Let me just say, if we postpone this, that's going to postpone collecting the money. So I think Mr. Tidwell is right about go ahead and approving this, and if they change it down the road, change it. But they've got $7,000. There's already some excitement around this and getting this done. I think if y'all postpone it, it's
Okay.
going to slow the money coming in.
Well, it didn't look like we had a motion or a second for that, so. So the original motion was to approve the design for the Ten Commandments, and we were going to put an amendment on there that makes sure that we have the money raised for all the schools before we start doing any of the schools. All in,
And if, to look at maybe a design for the elementary schools, we're going to add that to it or not?
do you think we need to, I don't think we need to add that part. I think we can do that without adding that part. So, yeah, just bring it back up next time. Okay. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Well, he approved to have the amendment tacked on to.
Yeah, but we're supposed to be.
Okay, I'm sorry, okay, you're right. You're right.
And we.
Okay,
say
okay,
all
so
for
the
involved.
amendment,
I vote for all of them.
I was a little hasty. All in favor of Ms. Rosales' amendment saying that we raise all the money before we start putting them in the schools? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And now back to the original motion, which was to approve the design, and then we can always, down the road,
With the amendment.
With the amendment,
We have to
yes.
approve it with the amendment.
with the amendment. So could you read that? Yeah.
The original was motion made by Caleb Tidwell and seconded by Tammy Sharp to approve the design for the Ten Commandment plaques.
Okay. And
With the amendment.
with the amendment.
amendment.
With the amendment that we must raise all the money.
Motion now.
Okay, with the amendment.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Next, we have the resolution.
I'll talk about this. We talked about this Tuesday as well. This is a resolution, this is an issue we've been facing for the last several years. And as you know, sometimes the state legislature approves funding for the school system for incentives and things like that. But the way the timing works with respect to receipt of the funding does not come in the same fiscal year for which you earn that money. So this is a resolution basically to urge the legislature to amend TCAs so that if there are incentives or additional compensation a school system has earned during a particular fiscal year, that those funds be paid to it in that same fiscal year. So that's what this is. So this is a resolution urging an amendment to the Tennessee Code to allow local education agencies to expend direct state funds for the fiscal year for which those funds were intended. We read the full resolution on Tuesday. I won't do that again unless you want me to, but this is a resolution asking the state legislature to add a provision of TCA allowing the local education agencies to expend for the fiscal year for which they were intended and to ensure that such funds are made immediately available for the LEA's expenditure in the general purpose school fund.
Yes, thank you, Caleb, for bringing this. This is amazing. This is very much needed, and I appreciate you working with our legislative body, trying to get it to the finish line as well, so.
Ms. Banks, I'll make a motion that we approve this. Also, a TSBA is going to carry this as a delegation as well.
Excellent, excellent. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Bond. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The resolution passes. Next, we have the spare bus stipend.
So we discussed this a little bit on Tuesday night, so that's the reason for the addition. So this is, as requested, the following additional spare buses are presented for insurance stipend approval. This concludes the stipend approval for spare buses for 26-27. And you see a list of those with VIN numbers.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. Thank you, Mr. Tidwell.
Now, I want to offer an amendment to this. I'm going to talk about it just a second.
Okay.
I think I want to, and let me talk through it with everybody first. If you notice on the first page there, and you see one contractor has got two buses that's going to get this stipend. This is what I was referring to the other night. There's going to be, there's some contractors that want a spare bus, there's some of them that don't want a spare bus. There's going to be some of them that need 2 spare buses. There may be some people that need 3, I don't know. With 10 routes, I think you would probably limit it to 2. But before this gets out of hand next year, I think I would offer an amendment that we would develop a policy with the help of transportation to try to make this somewhat equitable, because I can see how this could get political a little bit, who gets what routes or who gets what spares or whatever. I want something, I think we need something definitive where it doesn't put transportation on the defensive or something like that. Would you comment just a second about that? Or maybe I'm jumping the gun here that
I do think we need to put something in policy, since this is our second year. And this is kind of what we discussed last year when we did all this. We were going to do it one more time with the originals that got paid and then what came in the first few weeks. I do think going forward, there needs to be something in place in policy. I think this is fine tonight.
Right.
But going forward in policy, we do need to put something in place that kind of puts some parameters on it, or we're going to be here every year trying to determine what that number is. And the real problem, and I'm going to speak for Brian and Dr. Sullivan and I for a minute, we don't know what to budget for.
Correct.
So by putting something in place that defines how many or what the parameters are, it gives us a footprint to be able to budget. That's the biggest thing for me, is the not letting this just continue to be a mushroom.
But mushroom, that was my concern. That's the reason I brought it up. Do I need to offer an amendment to it that we refer it to policy this spring, that we develop one, or is everybody kind of on board with that and we won't forget it? Monica? Perfect. Then I won't offer an amendment. Thank you.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other comment? Mr. Tidwell.
Mr. Vaught, are you requesting Monica to add this to the upcoming policy committee? I think you mentioned that on Tuesday. Okay. Good.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, we have a motion and we had a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, financial matters.
All right, so stay with me for a little while. I know that sometimes we lose the audience when we get into financial stuff, but we're going to do our end of the year revenue and expenditures, just kind of where we ended the year. So I'll kind of go through this. First, just want to thank Mr. Runyon, because this is a huge budget, and what you're going to recognize, this type of fiscal stewardship doesn't happen by accident, and so he truly does an amazing job with that, along with Dr. Martin, our chiefs over there with our academics and human personnel and with communications. Everybody does a great job working all of this together, and Mr. Lee. Becoming director of schools, you all know I engrossed myself in this budget process so that when we were asked by things, that's why a lot of times I'll present it, which is why I'm presenting it today, and why the State Board of Education asked us to present on our process. But Mr. Runyon, Mr. Smith, myself, we all work together to do this. So let's talk about some highlights first. So I'll start with a summary, then get into the details. So we're looking at fiscal year 26, so the one that ended in June. Our summary, we had budgeted almost $8 million into the deficit for that year. However, we've placed over $20 million in fund balance. And so almost a $28 million swing. So you're going to notice here in just a little while that we are currently at about $111 million, is that right, Mr. Runyon, in our fund balance, which is roughly 18.5%. And so state minimum's 3. I know that Mr. Smith likes to have it somewhere between 10 and 15. We were down around 90 million. Now we're back up to 111 million as of right now. And so then I'll go over kind of how that happens here in just a second. So we're going to look at 141, 143, and 177. So if you look at page 1, and I've highlighted some of these, we're looking at revenue first. Anything that is highlighted in green, those are additional revenues. And you will remember that we don't set revenue, the county sets revenue. But you'll see that it was collected $3.6 million over in property tax, $11 million over in sales tax. which is great that that is going to fund balance. It sure would be nice to be able to utilize some of that, just 14 million right now in part of our operating budget, but that does go to fund balance. Next, you'll see investment income is 2.8 million over. It was projected at 1.5, it brought in 4.3. And then I just highlighted a couple extras that were over $100,000, $200,000. Then you'll see I circled one, TISA on behalf, so that does not have parentheses. Anything in parentheses is extra, but that is a deficit that we did not receive as much on behalf, and that deals with charter schools and some other things just in coding and how all those things work. Or is that one, you want to hit on that one?
What that is TISA on behalf. It's basically the funding that the state pays for us. It never runs through our books. So for example, it's like for the JDC, that they pay directly to JDC, the IEA accounts, the education savings accounts, the stuff that never comes, money never flows to us, they pay it directly for us. And what it is offset in expenditures. So we have to report it as a revenue and we have to report it as an expenditure, but they're both offsetting because they're the same amount. So we went off of basically what we received the year before. We over budgeted, but in your expenditures or your revenues, it really isn't going to matter because they're just offsetting accounts of reporting that. So, I mean, it's never going to be right there at it every year as far as the revenues and expenditures, but your revenues and expenditures will be the same amount. So they offset each other. So it doesn't, it has to be recorded as revenue basically, but they're immaterial in the revenue portion overall of what we receive because they're offset by expenditures.
Okay. And then if you guys will look on page 2, this shows you in revenue, we were 11.9 million into the positive in revenue. And so that gives you an idea of revenues, 11.9 million that went into fund balance. Now we will look at expenditures. And I also want you to notice when we talk about our budget, we talk about we're within 1% or 2%, and that's how close we budget. The very first one, teachers, for example, so I'm on page 1 of 45 now, and so it's the very next one, 71, 100, 116. You'll see we budgeted 219 million. We spent 218 million. So we budgeted 99.5%. So when we say we budget it to the penny, I mean, we budget it. That's why when we talk about where can we find money, there's not money really to find usually. So Mr. Runyon, great job in how close those are. That did leave us an additional $1 million extra, and so that does go into fund balance in the whole account that we'll look, or the object here in just a little while, but it is 99.5% of the biggest line that we have. So, and again, anything in parentheses is extra that we did not expend. Overall, if you flip to the next page, our largest account, and this is pretty much all of our teachers for the most part, and a lot of Kelly, Dr. Chastain's department, so we did not spend 3.6 million of what we had budgeted. And so when we talk about being good stewards of our money, not only do we have additional revenue, then we are not expending everything that we are budgeting. So that's why it's always a budgeting plan, not an expenditure plan. All right, if you'll go over to the next one, and I'm just gonna hit these quickly. You're gonna see, again, most of them are somewhere between, that one's at 99.88%, and so we're budgeting individual people. And so all of those are within line. And the next page, just I highlighted each one. There were $68,000 available there. Again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but on each one, you'll see how much money at the very bottom was left in that account. The couple that I did just want to highlight, if everybody will turn to page, just give me a second to find it. If there's any that you want to look at specifically. But if we will go to like page 24, so this is career and technical education, or sorry, this is technology. You'll see technology is 6.8 million and we had $97,000 left over, so 98.5%, 0.5, all of them, you're gonna see her that way. Board of Education on the next page, so page 25 and 26, you'll see we had $885,000 left. Director of Schools, the next one, page 28, there's $116,000 left. Office of the Principals on page 20, or on page 30, there's 677,000 left, but when you see these numbers, we're at 98.05% of that budget. And so that is a very risky margin, but that's why we watch it and go over this monthly like we do. If you will flip to page 35, this is one that when you have your meetings with the comptroller, the auditors at the end of the year, I want you first to focus on page 36. So on page 36, you'll see we have $44,000 available, but there is one line that is over. So if you look at line 415 on page 35, so the page before it, you'll see that in electricity, we were $726,000 over. We had a bill of $2 million that came in in 1 month. And so when $2 million comes against your $12 million budget, however, that'll be one that we explain to the auditors when we talk to them about how we have different revenues that we can offset with some of our rebates that Mr. Lee has gotten forward, and then how everybody's electricity is increasing. But the main thing for us is overall that entire object is not over, and so it's still underneath. Was it 2 months in a row we had that one?
Deep
Yes.
freeze, in January, or it was last August, one of the two.
I would have to look at the bills just to see if there was a spike in one of the months, but there was about a 5.5% increase in electricity, so that did not help as far as budgeting, and it was one that we paid 2 bills in the same month.
Sure.
And that wasn't accounted for. We thought that we had enough in there for just one, and that's the reason why we didn't move an additional amount of money in there. And in the past, as long as I've been here, plus beyond that, we've always moved money out of that account to budget somewhere else because it's never been over. So it happened this one time.
That's the reason you're pointing it out. The reason I'm kind of bringing it up.
It's an abnormal one for
I
us,
mean,
so that's why
August has been a pretty rough month, right?
I advise Mr.
And
Lee.
getting everything cranked back up right now, I'm interested to see how the bills come in.
And just so you know, with Mr. Lee, what I advised us to do this weekend was leave everything running Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So don't turn it off,
Oh,
which is
no,
not
you can't let her-
which is not our normal process. We normally have climate control that turns off at certain hours of the day. So that's going to increase that bill. But regardless, that'll
think
be
you can
something
this
that's
week.
not necessarily an audit finding. That's just something I wanted to point out, because if you go through and you look what's $700,000 over, we also, if we would have gotten the bills earlier, we could have used some of that Fund 143, because this does include cafeteria. Electricity, we could have used some of that to offset it. So that'll be something we do in the future as well.
Leaving that electricity off Mr. Blair's place, he was
Yeah.
second floor then.
But if you look at maintenance of personnel, you'll see that there's a couple, like that one it's a $720,000, so I'm on page 37 now. So the first line is over $468 out of $720,000, so that's an example of where the .06 is in the wrong way, but that you're allowed those statistical differences. Only other one I really wanted to point out is if you'll go all the way to the end, page 45. You'll see our overall budget to start the year was 581, and then we ended up actually 12.6 million not spending of the 603 that was originally, or that was the final amended budget. So we put 12.6 million into fund balance from expenditures. And so again, that is when you're looking at your overall funds available there, to be able to go from 90 million to $111 million, Mr. Runyon and everybody they do an absolutely fantastic job. Any questions on 141, and then we'll go on to the next one.
Any questions? Yes, Mr.
Actually,
Tidwell.
mine might be for 143, actually, which is where we're about to go.
Yep,
so.
we're about to go there next. All right, so Fund 143, so if you will look at, so the first page, so on page 1 of 4, so you flip over. These next ones, you're going to see encumbrances, and so overall what this budget looks like. If you flip to page 4, you're going to see our overall budget was 33.5 million. We spent 28.7, so there were 6.1 available. And so on the next page, you are going to be able to see that we actually did go into the fund balance a little bit like we anticipated, but we didn't go the full, I don't remember how much we budgeted into. Do you remember?
I believe it was a little over $6 million.
And so instead of going 6 million into the negative, well, I think we went a little bit over 1 million. Does that sound right? Yep. And so that fund balance is still going to stay high, so we'll continue to have that spending plan. And I know that makes the discussion, why don't you do free lunch for all students? Those are two complete different things. And so just so that everybody, that's a discussion that we hear quite a bit, is why don't you do free, if you have extra money, why don't you do free lunch and breakfast for students? Those are two complete separate things. We would run out of money pretty soon, probably, what did you say before, 4 months? We'd be running the negative?
Close, yeah.
And so the other part of that, and I'll email all the board, is that some districts are eligible for a community eligibility program, so that's the CEP program. That's how, I think Murfreesboro City, for example, is able to get free breakfast and lunch for everybody. In order to do that, you have to hit 25% on direct serve, or TANF, those different types of certification. As a district, we sit just over 11. And so I hate to say that we're not impoverished enough, but we are nowhere near qualifying. You can have individual schools qualify. They also have to hit 25%. We only had 2 schools last year that qualified. One was Simon Springs, one was Daniel McKee. Both of those have fluctuating student enrollments. And so it's not serving an individual school population. And so we are not eligible any of our schools. And so it would truly have to be a county-funded thing. There's not a way for us as a district to be able to do it.
Ms. Maxwell.
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
I think it's an amazing job on the budget. Incredible work. One question was the bad lunch debt. I know that was a super big issue before. Where are we at on that now?
Can you run it and pull it? Yeah, if you don't know,
have access to that system to be able to do so, but I believe at year end, it was way down. I mean, I think when we closed the year before, it was over $1 million. And I think this year, at the end of this year, it was somewhere around 300,000.
Wow, significant drop, 70% drop.
Yep. And then the last thing to focus on, if you go to Fund 177, you'll see page 1 and page 2. And so really all I want to focus on this one is if you will go to the very last page, this kind of shows you all of it. Again, revenue, we don't control revenue, but 19.3 million was estimated for revenue. The county actually brought in 24.1, so we have an additional 4.8 million. And Mr. Lee is going to start looking at some of that, and we actually have a little bit more than that because this earned money the year before as well, that we did not realize was sitting there. So we're going to try to get a little bit further ahead on some of our HVAC projects. So I believe instead of doing,
We're gonna bring it on September 10th.
yep. So instead of doing half of Lascassas like we had budgeted, we're going to do more than half of that, and then we're also going to start attacking some of those smaller projects. It feels good to be able to attack more of it, but it's still, when you have hundreds of millions of dollars in HVAC, it still doesn't add up to a lot. But being able to get a little bit further is nice. But overall, could not be happier with the way that budget ended up, and we are back over $100 million again in fund balance.
Excellent. Thank you. You do a good job, sir.
Thank you, appreciate it. Directors update, I've got 2. So first, again, congratulations to Central Magnet. We have Dr. Blair here. And so we had a pep rally yesterday. And so to be able to have the #1 school in the country is a testament, not just to Central, but it's a testament to our entire district and the just success and instruction that all our entire team does to make sure that it works. And so I think, Mr. Evans, are you going to provide? Yeah.
It's worth noting as well, of course, that we had 8 schools total in the top, 8 high schools in the top 25%.
And I did text Dr. Ash yesterday at about 11, and so he came as well, so that was good for him to come back and be part of it.
Doing this from memory, I'm sorry, but Blackman, Oakland, Stewart's Creek, the virtual school, Eagleville.
Rockville.
Yeah, Rockville, thank you, thank you. See, I knew, there's 8 of them.
Yeah.
They all did very well. But of course, it's a huge honor. Dr. Blair, you're going to come up here and make me stand by myself. It's a huge honor, of course, to have the top high school in the country, something that it does really elevate. It shows what we can do with public education in Rutherford County, not just at one school, but all of them. So,
Do you have your elevator speech ready?
yeah, okay, that's funny. Would you play the video for us and then?
There are a lot of ways to measure a successful school. Things like school culture, academic or athletic achievement, student success, and opportunities for students and staff. From a district perspective, it's amazing to see the accomplishments of our schools and our students, and it's a testament to the quality of public education that we offer here in Rutherford County.
Every year, schools across the country are recognized for doing exceptional things.
But this year, our school didn't just make a list. This year is a little different.
Central Magnet School has been named the #1 high school in the nation.
Okay, so we learned about this on Tuesday. I just got a random text from Ms. Guthrie there that said, #1, are you kidding me? And I didn't know what she was talking about. I just got your text, and it took me a few minutes of getting that out of her. But pretty incredible stuff. And then Dr. Blair helped us organize, of course, a huge pep rally yesterday to celebrate with the school, and we went out and filmed all of that. So just very appreciative of that. Before I turn it over, because I know I'm going to get a text from a principal that says you left me off the list. The 8 schools are, of course, Central. Sorry, my eyes are getting older. Central, Blackman, Rockville, Eagleville, Siegel, Stewart's Creek, Oakland, and the Rutherford County Virtual School all scored in the top 25%, are ranked in the top 25% for high schools in Tennessee. That's an incredible thing. But now I'm going to let Central have the floor.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
I've only been there about 3 months, as you know. So I've told everybody I can't take credit for it at all. But I used to tell Dr. Sullivan, and I'll say it in front of the board, I said, Dr. Sullivan, you know, it's nice to be able to look at people and say, we've got the #1 elementary school in the state, #1 middle school in the state, #1 high school in the state. We've got to change that a little bit. We got the #1 high school in the nation, which just is mind-boggling that they would rank over 16,000 high schools. And the one you help support is right here. When you go talking about the budget to the county commission, we talk about investing in education. We have the proof. I was thinking about Mr. Vaughn. I sat Central 30 plus years ago, listening to that man tell me how to get good test scores. Now, the building hadn't changed much, just saying, everybody, since Mr. Vaughn and I were there 30-something years ago. And then I thought about it, you, Mr. Vault, what's the first question that families ask about when they want to move into a place? Tell us about the schools. Folks, we've got it all. We've got it all. Dr. Sullivan's going to break out news down the road about how many level 5 schools we have. You know, I talked about it being a team effort. I've always been a team guy as a coach and as a teacher, and now as a principal. And, you know, the support we get from central office staff, our choice school programs, you've seen how all the high schools are now grabbing something to maintain our students. You know, we've just got to continue to pour into them as a community. I took a tour with the class of 1962, walked them around for a couple hours, listened to their stories and how proud they were to be at Central. And, you know, I was standing next to, didn't even realize it, but Mark Pirtle, a big community member. I was talking to a gentleman who's been a lawyer for years, Mr. Lowry in the area. I mean, there's a lot of great people have walked those hallways at Central, and just to finally be able to say we're #1 in the nation is just amazing. Just amazing. And again, I just want to thank you for what you do. We don't get enough credit in the educational world. We are a big budget item, but again, our kids deserve it. Our kids deserve it. Our community deserves it. And again, I'm just proud to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Mr. Blair, before we go ahead, whenever you take a nap in the office, sit there and take advantage of all the wisdom that's been in that office over the years.
Including here.
No, well, I'm not saying anything, but just, you've done a great job, Clark, and I'm glad you're there. And John, just the history of Central, Central's been a great high school and school for years, and we're just glad that you've made them all recognize how great y'all are. And I'm proud you beat John Ash. He was third, so now you can say, hey, one's better than three. So good job.
And then last, today's bittersweet because it is the last board meeting for 2 of our board members. And although I think I've had the privilege of working with 13 or 14 board members in 4 short years, these 2 are bittersweet because we all started together, pretty much. And so I do want to take a second and just recognize first, we have an appreciation to Francis Rosales, a member of the Rutherford County Board of Education, September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2026, who provided unselfish devotion and service to the students, teachers, and citizens of Rutherford County, and presented by our Board of Education. It has been a pleasure to work alongside you, and anything you need in the future, please don't hesitate to let us know. And then second, we have Ms. Sharp, who we started together as chair and director of schools. And so it has been an absolute pleasure. I think we are the only ones that have presented that I know of from Rutherford County as a featured presentation for TSBA. And so I'll always appreciate your friendship and mentorship. And again, appreciation of Tammy Sharp, member of Rutherford County Board of Education, September 1st, 2018 to August 31st, 2026, who provided unselfish devotion and service to the students, teachers, and citizens of Rutherford County. Again, thank these ladies because it truly is a dedication and a requirement that people don't realize how many hours it is to serve on the Board of Education. It is, I know it's exhausting for me. I know it's even more exhausting for board members, and so truly appreciate all that you guys have done and will continue to do.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Now we're moving into a general discussion. Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out to Laverne's ribbon cutting on Sunday. It's really special. And y'all think that that's all that's going on out there? It's not. Culinary arts and structured settings will be December?
Hopefully before, but that'll be the official.
Yeah, there's some more that's coming. So just like some of the other annexes that we had, not everything was finished at once, but it's going to be phenomenal. The culinary arts is going to have a cafe. And then structured setting is going to be great. I heard from Miss Annie the other day. We talked about it. So thank you guys for coming out. And thank you for a long 8 years. It was a great ride. Honor of my life, other than my son. And Christ is King. Always remember.
Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Rosales.
So I just want to say this. As I reflect on the past 4 years, I am incredibly proud to have had the opportunity to serve Rutherford County Schools as an elected school board member. It has truly been one of the greatest honors in my life. Together, this board has accomplished so many meaningful things, many of which were spearheaded by faculty, administration, fellow board members, and at times initiatives I was honored to help lead. One of the greatest accomplishments has been investing in our employees. Under Dr. Jimmy Sullivan's leadership, we restructured compensation from top to bottom so salaries will be more competitive with the market. And as a result, teacher and staff vacancies has significantly decreased, and our district is stronger because of it. I am also proud to have had worked with our state delegation to pass legislation requiring annual active shooter safety training for every adult working in our schools, student and staff. Safety has always been one of my highest priorities. I also want to thank Captain Hendrickson for his leadership of our school resource officers and for collaborating with me to strengthen the SRO program by encouraging officers to step into the classrooms and assume the role of a teacher and not simply serve as a visible presence in our schools. Another accomplishment I'm especially proud is bringing forward the proposal to establish the Rutherford County Schools Foundation. Along with Claire Maxwell and Butch Vaughn, I am honored to be a founding member of an organization that will provide classroom grants and additional resources to support our teachers and students for years to come. And from my very first day on this board, I made it my mission to build new schools so families will no longer have to worry about frequent rezoning. And during my time on the board, we celebrated the construction of new schools, including the Poplar Hill Community Schools, along with the high school additions. And to those who will serve after me, I pass the baton with one simple request: never lose sight of why we are here. While school board service has become increasingly political, our children are not looking at us to see what political party we belong to. They're looking to us to make decisions that are in their best interest. As someone who has spent time in our classrooms, I have seen firsthand that for some children, the people sitting in these seats are among the few voices that they have advocating for them. And doing the right thing is not always the most popular thing, but it is always worth doing. To Dr. Sullivan, thank you. Your leadership over these past several years has required balancing the perspectives of 7 board members while leading one of the Tennessee's largest and fastest growing school districts. And that is no small task. Your dedication to Rutherford County and to public education has been evident every day. Today's letter from the Commission of Education recognizing the accomplishment of this district is a testament to the work that you're doing and your entire team's doing. I encourage the board to vote unanimously the next time there's a contract extension on the board agenda. He has earned it. What more must he do to earn a 7-0 vote? To my fellow board members, I encourage you to keep the focus on the issues that directly impact our students, teachers, and families here in Rutherford County. Don't get caught up on things that are not impacting Rutherford County schools. We accomplish far more when we work together than we allow politics to divide us. Finally, to our teachers and school employees, thank you. I want you to know that your voice matters. I have seen your dedication, your compassion, and the countless sacrifices you make for students every single day. While headlines often focus on the negative, they rarely tell the story of the extraordinary work taking place inside our classrooms. And I have seen it firsthand these past 4 years as I stepped into your shoes and became a substitute teacher. I hope you know that your work has been seen, appreciated, and valued. Although my service on this board is ending, my commitment to public education and to the students, teachers, and families of Rutherford County is not. I may be leaving this seat, but I am not leaving that work. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless Rutherford County Schools.
Thank you, Ms. Rosales. Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
I got 2 things here. One thing I wanted to say, though, Dr. Nix invited me out to do a coin toss at the Christiana Middle School game last night. And when I walked out there, the ref obviously knew I was a school board member, and he just said, man, there ain't no way I'd take that job. So, and that's coming from a varsity ref. So that tells you, you get a lot of different things on this. So I commend both of our members here. One of the things I was going to bring up was we talked a lot about this at the work session, the Marymount subdivision. And Trey, I think Mr. Vaught had asked if see if you'd come up with a option yet there for the Marymount situation. So I'll give you a little background information. Jeff, maybe you can speak to this as well. But I asked Mike Curtis from the Rutherford County GIS to pull up the maps. And the main road going in is city-owned. So with that being said, I mean, I'd make a motion that we continue to service that neighborhood on, at least on that main road, have a few stops, considering that we have documentation that the gate's going to be open.
Yes, Ms. Rosales.
Can we verify that is a city road? And I will second that if it's a city road.
Mr. Reed, have you looked at that road? Mr. Lee?
I thought we were told it wasn't, so.
I think the road is shown in different ways depending on what maps you look at. The plat has it to be private. I think the GIS shows it to be a city road based on what Mr. Tidwell was told. So there's ambiguity in regards to the issue with respect to that street. But whether the school system decides to serve it, you certainly can decide to serve that street if you decide to serve it. So, and if the gate's open, that gives you access. Historically, I think that as a subdivision's been served by bus service by the county, and I understand the city is serving those routes within Marymount now. So if you choose to do it, that's within the board's discretion.
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Mr.
I'd like to read this as well from Mike Curtis, who is over the GIS. He said, Marymount Springs roads are mostly classified as private and are inside the city of Murfreesboro. However, the main road, the exit street, is classified as city-owned. So that's coming from the individual overseeing the GIS. I don't know how we can get any more verification than that, but there is a motion on the floor. Oh, Ms. Rosales is second.
Yes, we have a second. Yes, Ms. Darby, did you have something you wanted to say? Okay, sorry. I don't want to look.
I got it.
Yes, Mr. Vaughn.
I'm not sure it's really fair to allow them to do service to one of these gated communities and not do it to the other. I mean, I think we need to postpone it and then let Mr. Reed find out for sure to come to have a certified statement. But still, even if it is, I just don't think it's fair to let one do it and not let others do it, because we're going to run into a pickle. How you going to justify not doing it in these other places? I just think that's an issue we may run into. But
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
All right, so we can do this many different ways, and we've been bouncing around on this. But if we want to say, like I'd mentioned before, I'd put an exemption clause to address a lot of these things, as you say, so we can be impartial on this. I don't know how many gated communities we actually serve that have a city-owned road that goes through them. Go ahead,
I was
Trey.
going to ask Mr. Lee that too.
I'm not getting a dog in this hunt. I'll be glad to let Mr. Reed look at it. But on Murfreesboro's GIS, it is a private street. It's designated that way. And I'm not arguing with Mike.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, I go by their GIS, that's what we utilize, and that's the way it shows. But you can vote, and then if we find out that this is incorrect and it is public, then your vote would stand.
what's the motion?
Mr. Tidwell vote, and then Ms. Sharp seconded the motion to, Ms. Rosales, I'm sorry, seconded. Okay, go ahead.
I believe we already had a motion, Mr. Vaught did, that said we don't service the private roads, but we do service the public roads. Correct. So this just, we can vote on this, and if whoever decide, whatever this deciding factor is, if it's private or if it's, we've already put the policy in place. That's already been done. That we're not going to service the private roads.
Yes, that's
And
true.
that's the only reason that we're considering servicing this road because they're saying that it's public. So if it's private, then it goes away. If it's public, we service it.
It's really a moot point, like Mr. Fogg said. We've already voted on it. Correct?
Mr. Vaughn.
Yeah, and I would comment, and this is going back to, I don't know what city policy is or what the city's required to do. I know the county, when I was on the county commission, the highway department would present to us every year a road list. And it would list like Browns Mill Road, 13.2 miles. And that was the service area, and that was the public road. And the reason I bring up Browns Mill Road, that is the road I grew up on. And at one time, it was 15 miles long. And they shortened it, and because there wasn't any children living down at the end of it, that was right on the border of Stones River. So the county highway department quit working it. Well, a sneaky old developer came in there about 12 years ago, and wanted to develop that end of the road. And so he petitioned the highway department to open that road back up, and they wouldn't do it because it had been taken off the road list. And the only reason I give you that illustration, what had always happened over the years, and I always like to talk about politics or somebody getting something done, is that a lot of things are always tweaked a little bit depending on who voted for who or who represented who. And over the years, when I first got in real estate back in the mid-'80s, there were countless abandoned county roads. You know, there were right-of-ways, and we've been to court many, many times opening up old right-of-ways or old abandoned roads to get access to landlocked property. I said all that to say this: there has to be some type of list that the city has that says they maintain these roads, period. And I'm not denying what Mike Curtis told you, because Mike is as good as anybody running GIS, but I would defer or question us doing this, because we've made it policy that we're not going to go off the county or the city or county highway right of way to service private property. And I hate to start it this way, because once you let the cat out of the bag, it's going to be hard to put him back in there later on. If we do have other subdivisions that are developed, similar to this or later on or whatever, and if we so choose to service those private subdivisions, again, I think there's got to be policy stated to do that, and again, you get into politics, and I'm a little concerned about that. So I think I would request or suggest that we wait, either get a letter from the city street department as to what they do, because what I had found out in my research is that, yes, garbage service is there, they do raise the gates there, but that subdivision pays for garbage service outside of their normal taxes. I think I'm saying that correctly. So I believe we've got 2 or 3 unanswered questions that make me feel a little uncomfortable supporting this. I have said earlier that if it is a public road, I'd be more than willing to, continue that service there.
Mr. Tidwell, do you want to withdraw?
No, I mean, I feel like we've danced around this several times, and I went to the source that I thought would have the most information, which is who controls the county GIS source. That's him. I just read to you exactly the information that he shared with me, and he sent a screenshot of on the map where it says city owned. So I'm not withdrawing.
Okay. Okay.
We got another one that says no.
Exactly. We did.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Darby.
Mr. Tidwell, do you have that screenshot?
I do.
Can I see it?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know how to that. Sure. You can send it to somebody's email. He can put on the, yeah.
How many subdivisions that have gates were affected when we decided that we would not go in to gated communities that were.
For the Transportation Department and the motion that was made by the board, it has nothing to do with gates. It has to do with the public right-of-way.
Okay.
Public right-of-way and private. That's what,
Okay, how many, let me rephrase that. How many neighborhoods were affected when we decided to not go down private roads anymore?
most of them we weren't going down. This
Okay.
was one of the few that we,
This is one of the few,
that we
okay.
were continuing to service. And that's why we stopped to be equitable with what we were doing in the rest of the service area.
So, Ms. Madam, yeah, so what I'm understanding, whether a subdivision has a gate or not is irrelevant, is whether the road itself is a city or a private road. So if there's a gate, it's a gated community, and these roads are city, then we will go inside the subdivision, correct?
That is the way the motion reads, and that's the way the Transportation Department is operating. We operate on public right-of-ways.
So the question at hand is if the road in this particular subdivision is in the city, or, I mean, if it's a private road or a public road.
Private. I've got it, Murfreesboro's GIS pulled up. We can also do that as well. I
Yeah.
can show you the difference.
And I was going to mention another example that I know about. There's a dead-end road, a private road down on Paw Paw Springs.
There's a bunch of them, but yes.
You know where I'm
I know
talking about?
exactly where
That road is 1,300 feet deep.
That'd be
And
about right.
And I'm willing to bet y'all don't go down to the end of it and turn around and come back out.
We do not.
Yes. That would be one example I just think off the top of my head.
Do you know, Mr. Tidwell, so that, to me, that looks like are they saying one side of the road is city and the other side of it is private?
The blue's the city limits. The red is the road. So the part of that area is in the city limits and part of it is not.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. But if you go to Murfreesboro GIS, which is the GIS that I utilize because it's Murfreesboro's and they have you can.
So where will the bus enter if it were to enter?
Right there where his arrow is now, right there.
Okay.
Right on
That's the entrance to the neighborhood.
Mr. Tidwell, can you read what he said, I guess, in that email that accompanied this picture, please?
Yes. So here's what he said. He said, Marymount Springs roads are mostly classified as private and are inside the city of Murfreesboro. However, the main road, the exit street, is classified as city-owned, which is why you're seeing the blue line in the center.
Private on one side and public on the other, because he's calling it the exit road, so it does sound like one side is private and the other is public.
But their GIS does not show it that way.
And they sent me, the residents sent me a picture, which I shared with Jeff and them, or Dr. Sullivan, about the city schools running through there as well. So, I mean, as far as weight loads, bus loads, all that type of stuff.
The subdivision has been there a long time, so we've been providing bus service in this subdivision for many years.
Prior to 2008.
Yeah.
2008, I'm sorry.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that old.
And there, can I comment again?
Yes, you can.
And I'm pulling up everybody's tax cards that are out there, and generally I can pull up your tax card from on any parcel of the 113,000 parcels that are in the county, and it gives lot characteristics. And this is public information that's come out of the tax assessor's office, okay? And when you get down to the part that it says in that particular subdivision, when you get down to property characteristics, it has road type, it has it blank. Well, like my house, it says public. And I would dare say most of us, I think all of y'all, let's say you live in a HOA. So yours may say private, yours could say private. But see, there's an indication there that the tax assessor looks at that different. Again, I suggest that you get a letter from the city, maintenance, street maintenance or whatever it is, as to what the status is. Is it public or private? And we can solve this real easy.
Ms. Darby.
I'm going to come at this from a little bit of a different angle, seeing as how we're kind of stuck in an interesting situation. And I'm not super familiar with this area. The current bus stop, I know that some of the parents have emailed me and said they feel it is a very unsafe bus stop, that the road that it's on is extremely busy and there's accidents on it quite frequently. Is there any, Mr. Lee, can you speak to that? Because I'm not familiar with that particular area.
It's Rucker Lane. I'm not familiar with the accident rates on many of our schools, many of our public roads. Is there accidents on it? I'm sure there is.
Here's how it's laid out, if you're curious. Subdivision. Anyway.
Ms. Maxwell, I'm calling the
If it's
question.
currently, if we find out it's city road, then we would serve it the way we read. If it's private, then you have another discussion to have.
Madam Chair,
Yes. Yes, Ms.
my question is, how are we deciding who determines that? Because you're looking at a GIS that you're saying tells you different. He spoke to the GIS guy of the city or the county? Of the county, who's showing a map that has one side public and the other side private. So how do we decide whose information is most accurate?
We call the city and have them send us a letter that says they maintain that road or they don't. If it's private, they don't maintain it. If it's public, they do maintain it. We get the city to send us a letter that says it's public or private.
Yeah, that was what I was getting to when I said the county highway department produces a road list every year. And those are the roads that the county highway department keeps up. I'm sure the city has a similar list that's part of public record. That's what I was getting at. So I think we just ask for that. And whatever it is, up or down, that's what we do.
Ms. Maxwell,
Yes, Mr. Tidwell.
how quickly could we figure this out? We can know tomorrow, probably.
I can see what we can do, yes. I don't know that I'll have the letter, but I can ask for it.
I'll withdraw my motion on the basis that we find out so we can start service next week if possible.
If they send me a letter that is public, we'll adjust the routes and go in there just like we do everything else.
You don't need that.
Because you've already got the policy in
41.
place, is public or private. All I need somebody to clarify for us, is it public or private?
Well, I didn't realize this was going to continue to be even more confusing, bringing competing GIS stuff up here. But if Mr. Rosales is okay with that, I'll withdraw the motion. Let's just find out tomorrow.
And as soon as I get that letter, I'll be glad to
Let us know.
make sure you get it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
And I did have one other thing. I do want to make a motion that we ask Jeff Reed to begin discussions with the city about why this is fresh on everybody's mind. Go ahead and have him start having those discussions so that he can come back and bring us some options. Now make that motion.
Okay.
What was that again? I didn't understand.
Made a motion that we ask Jeff Reed to go and start discussions with the city to see what our options are. And
About what?
We're waiting for a second
About what?
regarding the Dismukes property.
God.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Darby.
I don't have an issue with the motion, but I'd rather wait until the testing comes back, because if the testing comes back no good, I don't want to have wasted the money on Mr. Reed's time looking into that if it's something we end up not moving forward with. That's my only issue.
I can assure you they're going to work with us. They are. They need this, we need this. It's mutually exclusive, so. Anything else?
Ms. Maxwell?
Yes, Ms. Rosales.
Is there any way we can, just in case we are needing to, as we look into next year's budget and looking at, because every year before we even start, Dr. Sullivan comes to us and asks us what our priorities are, so those can be folded into the budget as he's getting priorities from the principals, and he's having to, rank everything and trying to get the budget for the next school year. I'm just wondering if there may be some inefficiencies or discrepancies, or maybe when it comes to the custodial staff. Some schools, like Poplar Hill, they may not need, as the building is brand new, so I will think that the building won't have the same needs as a older school. And if it's an older school, they will have more needs because it's an older school. And just to see if, looking at the staffing and how they compare to other schools, and based on the square footage, to see that if it's an older school, depending on the needs, that maybe we need to look into adding more custodians. So therefore, that will mean we'll have to look into the budget and how we can add that, budget that. So it'd be great to look into that and to see if that's an area that we can pay attention to if it's needed. But we don't know exactly, because the custodians, the number of custodians is held at the school level from the last conversation that we had, when I brought this up.
So we can definitely look at it. We're the ones that allocate them to the schools. As somebody who opened a brand-new school, I would argue that I needed just as many, or if you wanted the school to stay looking like a new school. But right now, we do it on a square footage and student enrollment basis and grade band. But you all know I'm happy to look at anything that we need to.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just to see how it just plays out, and then report to the board of how, where the findings are. I get that there's a formula structure because everything is done through formula, but sometimes the formula does not take into factors that are the reality. It doesn't take to reality accounts of what issues are presented. So it'd just be something to look at, in my opinion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have any other comments?
Yes.
Yes, Mr.
It's football time in Tennessee, so go out and support your teams, these Rutherford County teams this weekend. They're all firing up, so they're all really good. We've got great coaches, and so go out and support them.
I second that. Any other questions or comments? Okay. If not,
Move to adjourn.
thank you. We're adjourned.